just using like sort of like rulership fucking psychology onto me. And I think that most people you've been talking to have been like obeying your sort of like management of how this. Shut the fuck up, because right now I'm speaking. And this is how it fucking works. Because you're a fucking judgmental ENTP. You're probably one of the most fucking judgmental ENTPs I've ever fucking met. And I watch your fucking videos on YouTube and I have so much respect for you. But while speaking to you in person, you're one of the most incompromisable characters I've ever fucking met.
Talking with famous people.
I don't think I'm doing that shit. Nobody obeys me. I don't give any orders. I don't tell anybody to do anything. What?
Okay, so how come that 80% of the time that each streaming video you launches is basically just you speaking? There's no discussion. It's basically you just ranting about your fucking experiences in the past. There's no discussion. You don't interrupt me. There's no like you don't ask people questions like, okay, Susan, what do you feel about this topic? You don't do that. You just keep on ranting, and then you're like disappointed when people don't interrupt you.
He has actually done that plenty of times.
Okay, so that's probably true. It's the same. I mean, I agree. I speak too much when I'm in a room. I don't listen enough. But I also will point out that a lot of times when I stream from the host Eric room so that people can have their discussions in the raw room and have them recorded to the raw channel without me in there. In order to facilitate their own discussions, I tend to go into another room sometimes because I don't want to get in the way. You know, people are having a good talk. I might come in here and talk too much. I know I will probably. I tend to get involved in some discussion like this. So I do take measures to have concern for the community like that. My empathy is not perfect, obviously, and it's difficult to manage a group conversation like this. Well, it's like you said, actually, the solution is pretty simple. I need to ask more questions. Questions I ask a lot of questions. There should be questions that want to pin somebody down, and people don't like those questions because they know I'm going to tear their cherished beliefs apart.
And I can relate to it myself because I think both of us are pretty familiar to go on a sort of NE rant, and we don't have any conceivable like expectations of how far we're going to go for like a long time. And I can just listen to you because you're a very nice guy to listen to, and you have very much insight in stuff. But it's still this sort of like lack of FE, I would say, when to just hand it over, and you go from one topic to another and then another, and then you just leave the subject. Like the pattern in how you process the information or how you present the information is sort of similar to how I do it myself, and therefore I recognize when you're trying to generalize stuff. You don't consider yourself being able to search for an objective truth, like sort of a common ground.
I'm going to attribute this to Dunning-Kruger syndrome on your part. You are not arguing similar to me at all. You don't understand what my arguments are doing. Well, you do understand, but you don't like what they're doing because they're dispatching with your arguments in no short order. And so that's what you're displaying here when you're saying, trying to draw equivalencies between your argumentation and mine. You're experiencing the Dunning-Kruger effect because you don't understand argumentation well enough to understand how vastly superior I am at it.
Okay, I don't understand the argumentation because of how vastly superior I am.
No, you don't understand argumentation well enough to understand that we are not engaged in the same thing here. I'm trying to get you to understand shit.
According to what I thought was that you sort of like dodged my questions. You sort of tried to make everything more objective and general than what were like discussion was. And I sort of got the hang of what you were saying, like all along. I got it, but you kept like going on like, oh, you want people to be punished for doing drugs.
You keep talking about what I was doing in general, but what I was saying is what we should be doing, if you're arguing well, is to understand your own position as a set of distinct chains of arguments, okay? We might call them blocks. And in those blocks, there are distinct warrants, which are reasons why a claimed impact is in fact so, okay? And so what I was trying to do is to get you to understand that, no, it's not the case that I keep trying to dodge a point, is that point's wrong. That's why you're feeling so uncomfortable with it. it's wrong. And you might have some points that are better argumentation chains. You could go down and establish some right points. But you're saying, yeah, but my position is right. It's not right until you've established it, and you fail to establish it. It's that simple. And the thing is, if you have adequate detachment from your positions, you are willing to kick shit when it disagrees with you. If you're not detached, you're not willing to kick shit. You're not willing to kick shit.
But Eric, what you fail to see is that you work in a similar way. Because you sort of like, in the way that you like, it's the phrasing. You use sort of a different phrasing when you because you know that you want people watching this video to make sure that you're the superior one, because you're the all-knowing God, Eric. He knows so much about.
Why are you talking about motivations? Why?
Because it's relative, due to your like sort of devilish FI.
It's not relevant because we're talking about arguments. If you want to win arguments, you win them with arguments. If you want to say, you're stupid, Eric, because you need too much attention, or you need to seem like the big guy or whatever, then we have that conversation separately, and that's a personal conversation when you tell me, or whatever, but it's not relevant. You understand?
It's not, I get it. It's not relevant. It's definitely not relevant. It's sort of like you're convicted to the issue, and I would definitely understand if you're like, you started up all this shit, and I'm pretty like grateful you did it, but I can understand if you have sort of an image to maintain being in discussions in this place. But I think many people here have sort of a like respect for you.
No, I mean, look, the thing is, what are you criticizing me for here? When you're talking about the argumentation stuff, the reason it gets heated, or the reason I get angry, is because the other person is being stubborn and not acknowledging certain things they need to kick. There's certain argumentation chains that I've hammered, I've successfully pointed out that they don't work. Don't go down that chain, fucking kick it. Acknowledge you're wrong and move on to a different chain. It's like, it's simple goddamn how to live kind of shit. Like, don't forget to breathe. But people are so attached to their arguments, they don't know how to do that. They don't know when they're beat on argument chain. The fact is, I can beat almost all argument chains. True. But that means you need to kick almost all of them.
The main issue is the legalization of like LSD. That's the thing we were discussing. And you sort of sorted me into the kind of folder like, oh, you gotta punish people that do LSD.
It wasn't about you. It was saying that if this protocol, TE protocol, public policy protocol exists, this is the actual outcome of it. This is the protocol. This is the actual outcome. Okay, it wasn't about you. It had nothing to do with you.
You want to think about outcomes. Okay, well, I see like newspaper displaying like LSD, well, force the guy to do this kind of stupid stuff. And sure, like in the long term, it might be beneficial, but there will be so much. In the short term, there would be so much conflict, and people would be so fucking different.
Those are fair impacts to point out, and I address those impacts in a number of ways. I said, number one, the bad harms exist in the status quo with it illegal. Plus, even if you accept that you're going to minimize those harms, you're going to maximize other harms that have to do with violence. I address those points directly.
You see things very much about implications and the consequences of action.
That's not correct.
Isn't it? Because you seem to do it quite a lot, actually.
You just accuse me of using a utilitarian framework. What I'm saying is, no matter which framework you're arguing under, stay there for the purpose of that argumentation chain. You're locked into it by a reciprocal burden. So if I argue, for example, here's a physical world impact that will happen if we execute this protocol. Here's that's an argument I was making. Here's an impact. It's going to cause harm to people. Then you need to actually address the actual impact that I've established, or the warrant that establishes it. One of the two. You can't change the subject and go, yeah, but whatever. Okay? And then claim that it just sits there and doesn't impact you at all. That argument stands until you respond to it.
I won't fucking change my argument if that's what you're saying. I still think that like legalizing fucking LSD has more harm.
You have an argument. You're making argument. You're making bad ones.
Why is it a bad one?
I was just telling you. Because within a given argumentation chain, you need to argue it within that argumentation chain's framework. So, in other words, if you want to frame up, if you want to go to a meta level and go framework, then argue framework explicitly. What you did was just change the subject.
Okay. Well, you've changed the subject fucking several times during this discussion, and you can watch it on
Raw. Responsive, for Christ's sake.
Both of us has done the same thing, associating with stuff and whatever.
We've argued this chain down to the nub. I've made all of my points. I've responded to all of yours. You've responded to none of mine.
You believe in anarchy, and I don't.
I
That's
don't
the
believe in
difference.
anarchy. You're just throwing random sentences out in the air as though they mean things. You keep wanting to change resolutions midstream, make it about me. Okay, it's not about me.
It's about your opinion on this matter.
No, I don't have an opinion. Really, I have arguments I'm making. You're making stupid ones and failing to acknowledge it.
Instead of yelling about this, address the anarchy point real quick. Eric doesn't believe in anarchy because he doesn't believe that if something goes wrong, if someone ends up from an informed position, taking LSD, going crazy and committing a crime, he's not saying they shouldn't be punished for that crime.
Stop being a fucking lawyer for Eric right now, okay,
I'm
Tiffany?
not even agreeing with him 100%. I'm trying to explain his position to you so that you understand it properly, the same way
I
that
fucking understood it fucking 2 hours ago.
You're arguing badly. You're making bad arguments badly. And I'm scolding you for it. And I'm telling you, no, we're not doing the same thing, Jacob. You have a lot to learn about this shit. I've addressed it. I've answered it multiple ways. I answered it on a group level too. I said, that if you actually care about the group, you care about the integrity of the system. For the same reason we have to have forest fires periodically in order to keep the forest clean. Sometimes we have to allow the naturally occurring harms of things to naturally occur in order for individuals to have free will.
I want to make sure that the people that can't handle it don't harm people in general.
Then open a non-profit volunteering to give assessments of individuals as to whether or not they should take acid.
I mean, or you could turn it into a business and make some money off it.
Talking with famous people.
It's been an ego-bruising afternoon.